If you think you know World War II, think again. Tonight, you will hear stories so dark, so human, and so unforgettable, that even history tried to hide them. World War II is something we all think we understand, something we've seen in books, documentaries, and movies. But the truth is far more painful, far more terrifying, and far more human than anything you've ever heard. Tonight, you will step into the darkest hours of a world that was falling apart. Moments where soldiers felt their hearts stop, where families vanished in seconds, and where the people who survived never truly left the battlefield behind. These are the stories that were whispered, buried, forgotten, until now. December 23, 1944. Bastogne, Belgium. The cold was so sharp it felt like it could cut through bone. The American 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles, were completely surrounded by German forces. Supplies were nearly gone. Ammunition was running out. Food was nothing but a memory. Hope was the rarest thing of all. Private Alan Parker, only 21, sat shivering inside a small foxhole, listening to the distant thunder of German tanks rumbling through the night. His hands trembled, not from the cold, but from fear. He later said, "That night, I truly believed I would never see America again." Around 2 in the morning, a faint sound drifted through the darkness. The crunch of snow. A shadow shifting between the trees. Parker raised his rifle, finger tight on the trigger, ready to fire. But then, a voice came from the darkness. "Nick Skiason, please, don't shoot." A German soldier stepped forward, hands raised. His name was Johann Muller. He was barely older than Parker. His eyes weren't filled with hate, they were filled with fear. He slowly reached into his coat and pulled out a small photograph. "My daughter," he whispered. "She is too. I don't want to die here." Parker felt his breath freeze. He saw the photo, the same innocent smile he remembered from his younger brother Tommy back home. And in that moment, the gun lowered. The war faded for just one night. 2 enemies sat in the snow, sharing nothing but cold, fear, and the simple truth that neither of them wanted to die. Before dawn, Johann stood up. "If we meet again," he said softly, "it will not be like this." He disappeared into the dark. Parker never saw him again. For 50 years he told no one about this moment. But when he finally spoke, he said one thing that stayed with the world. People say World War II changed the world. Maybe it did. But that night, a German soldier changed me. On August 6, 1945, at exactly 8:15 in the morning, children in Hiroshima were walking to school. The streets were quiet, normal, alive. And then, a sound, high, sharp, unnatural. A 9-year-old girl named Keiko Tanaka remembered it clearly. "I heard a sound like the sky tearing apart. A flash like a newborn sun swallowed the city. In a single heartbeat, everything changed. Buildings vanished. Bodies disintegrated. Shadows burned onto walls. The world itself seemed to explode." Keiko woke up buried under debris. She saw a man stumbling toward her. His eyes had no eyelids. His clothes hung off his body like melted wax. He whispered one word over and over. "Mizu, water, water." But there was no water. Only black smoke and a river that turned to boiling mud. Keiko ran, stumbling past people whose skin peeled like paper, past a woman clutching a melted lunchbox, her child's lunchbox, holding it as if it were still whole. The woman collapsed beside Keiko and reached out with trembling fingers. She tried to smile, as if telling the girl to run, to live, to keep going. Keiko survived. 80 years later she said, "I lived. So I must tell the world what I saw." Thousands of miles away, in the Atlantic Ocean in 1942, American ships were constantly hunted by German U-boats. But one night, something stranger than war happened. A cargo ship named USS Atwood sent a final radio message. "They are coming, from below, not human." Then silence. When rescuers arrived, the ship was empty. Meals were still warm. Coffee cups untouched. Logbooks open. But every single man, gone. Only one survivor, Charles Reed, was found 3 days later floating alone in the sea. Before he died, he whispered, "It wasn't the enemy. It was something else in the water, something big, something that breathed." To this day, the U.S. Navy keeps the incident in an unexplained files folder. In the Philippines, American prisoners of war lived in a camp called Cabanatuan. Or rather, they slowly died there. Lieutenant Harris said, "We didn't live. We simply waited to die." Starvation, disease, torture, every day was a battle. One night, 2 soldiers tried to escape. They were caught within hours. The Japanese commander shouted, "If they escape again, the entire camp will die." Fear spread like fire. But then, hope flickered. American Rangers launched a rescue at night during a rainstorm. 19 minutes of gunfire. Explosions. Shouts. And then, silence. Every prisoner freed. Harris said, "It wasn't a rescue. It was rebirth." In Europe, another story unfolded, one no textbook speaks of. Private Michael Turner kept a letter in his pocket. It was found on his body after the war ended. It read, "Mom, if I don't come home, don't cry. Tell Dad I learned how to be brave. Tell my sister Anna. I kept her drawing in my pocket." His mother received that letter after the war. She said he didn't return, but his words did. On the American West Coast in 1942, alarms sounded. Anti-aircraft guns fired 1,400 shells into the night sky. People ran into shelters. The city panicked. Everyone believed Japan was attacking Los Angeles. But when dawn came, nothing. No wreckage. No planes. No enemy. The government called it a false alarm. But a radar operator insisted. "I tracked something metal, huge, moving against the wind." The event is now known as the Battle of Los Angeles, classified files still locked away. There were other stories. A battalion lost in France. A Russian soldier who escaped death camps not once but twice, and laughed saying, "God doesn't want me. And the devil fears I'll escape again." A young American nurse, Mary Roberts, who refused to abandon wounded soldiers. German forces approached, yet she stayed for 3 days. When the German commander arrived and saw her courage, he saluted her and said, "You are braver than any soldier." And then finally came the end of war. Celebrations erupted around the world. Flags waved. Bells rang. But the people who survived, they carried the war inside them for the rest of their lives. Their bodies returned home. Their minds never did. These stories survived because the people who lived them refused to let the world forget. They kept the truth alive, not to relive their pain, but to remind humanity of the cost of peace. World War II didn't end in 1945. It ends every time we remember the people who lived its darkest hours.